Hello everyone, welcome to Sufisar channel. In this video, we are going to go through how we can extract data out of a website using Node.js. So there will be some website, right, where you have tabular data or some kind of formatted data that you want to get out into a CSV format or some other format that you like. And usually it's really difficult from some of these sites to individually copy paste this data into a CSV, especially if it's a really big website. But here we'll go through an example of how we can take some complex data like a tier data or a hierarchy data and how we can scrape it out of the website and put it in a CSV. Let's get started. Yeah, so this is the data that we are going to take out and put it into our CSV format. So it's actually a United Nations website. So they have 17 goals. They call it Sustainable Development Goals. So these are measures to prevent poverty or to basically to make the world a better place. So they have high-level goals. There are 17 of them, and each of these goals have targets under this. And then each of these targets have indicators under this. So say we want to get this data into a tabular data, right? So how we go about it? So as you see, it's a very long HTML file, and it will take a lot of time if I want to copy paste each one of these sections separately, right? That to this format, it's not like you can copy the whole thing into a CSV format in one copy paste. You'll have to copy it one by one. So this is the 17th goal. So we'll see how we can take this data out of the site and put it in a CSV format. Let's get started. So I have a basic Node.js setup already. So I have initialized an index.js file, and I have already installed the Cheerio library. So this is like a Node.js library that you can use to, let me pull up the website. Yeah, this is a Node.js library that will let you process HTML from website and select only certain elements from the HTML content. So basically you can feed the HTML into it, and then you can kind of run jQuery selectors on it and get data from it. So we are going to use Cheerios, and then Superagent is just to get data from the website, and at the end we are using JSON to CSV also to convert the JSON data into CSV format. So first I have added a get data method that will use Superagent to extract the data, and if you do response.text, you will be able to get this data in text format. So we need to see this output, right? So for that I have kept Node.js running here. So as we save something there, it will automatically show the logs here. So I'm going to save it. So it has went to the website and it has extracted the content from the website. As you can see, it's doesn't look like a very well formatted HTML. It's going to be really difficult to parse if you don't have some library like Cheerios. So luckily we have Cheerio, and next step is to start using Cheerio library. So the first step is to load it into a Cheerio file. So for that, instead of this console log, I am going to process it into Cheerio file, and it will basically make it available under dollar symbol, and then using dollar you will be able to run selectors. So let's load this. It will be most likely be an object. Let's see that also. Yeah, so here you can see it's an object now. It's basically returning a big object, and it has a number of methods exposed as part of it. So the next step is to actually inspect the website and see what HTML content we want to pull. So if I inspect this one, I can see that I want to get these high-level goals first, right? So there are these high-level goals, panel heading. So the second goal that is also in another panel heading. So it makes so at this point it makes sense. It looks like we can just get the panel headings from the HTML code, and it should give us the goals. So let's try it out. So I'm going to print the goals here. Looks like we have an error. We missed one parenthesis. Yeah, so here you can see that it has pulled, we are successfully pulling all the goals. That is the high level data. Then again, inside the goals, we still need to get the targets and the properties, so and the indicators. So at this point, we are successfully able to get the goals. But here you can see that somewhere else there is a search that is also using the same class name. So it's going to be difficult to extract that out. So what we can do is like we can just put any condition to exclude that. So now we don't have the search anymore. We just have the 17 goals. We have excluded the search. So the next step is to get the second layer of data from the file, right? So if when I come here, in our case, these are these targets. So if I inspect this element, I can see that these are under an H5 next to the panel heading. So basically we need to go to the next element from panel heading, which is the panel body, and then we need to find all the H5s under it. So in order to do that, what we can do is let's add some space to align it, and then let's do. So this is basically saying from the goal element, which is our high level element, find the next element, which is our, in our case, the panel body. So from the panel heading, we found the panel body. Then we are finding all the H5s under it, which are the targets. So we got all the H5s. Then we are iterating over each of those, very similar to our jQuery syntax. And then for each of those elements, we are getting the text out of it, and then we're trimming so that we will remove any white space at the end, and then we are logging. Again, we missed the same parenthesis. So here we can see that we are pulling all the data at this point. So we have goal 1 and all the targets under the goal, which is a long list, right? And then once all this 1 point once are over, we are getting the goal 2, which is in hunger, and then we are getting the targets under it. So the next step is to get the indicators under it. So there are indicators under each of these, so we need to get these indicators. So for this, let's write the next line. So when I go through the indicator data, I notice that there are some unnecessary tab characters and new line characters in it. So what I added is like I added a regex expression to remove the unnecessary tab characters and replace it with single quotes, basically clearing it out. Then we are going to add so then we are going to print the property text. So at this point, since we are logging it from all levels, it might be a little confusing, but yeah, let's otherwise one thing what we can do is we can remove this log from here and target text from here, and then we can log everything here, like call text plus This might make it a little bit more easier to see in the logs. Yeah, it's a long log, but here you can see like goal 17, target 100, and one indicator. Similarly, goal 17, the next target 100, and the next indicator 100. But the one thing that we hear is like there are some unnecessary C metadata tags. So I am going to do one more round of cleanup, and I am going to log the objects once again. So I am going to just copy paste some code that I have. So here I am going to populate everything into a variable called props, and into the prop array I'll be pushing all these goals, target, and property variables. And here you can see that I have added some exclusions. So basically there are some unnecessary text that was coming up that starts with the C metadata, so I added an exclusion for those two. So at the end of all this, we should have, if we check our props array, we should have all the data that we need in this variable. So I'm going to print that. Yeah, so here you can see our data neatly formatted now. So every corresponding to every goal, it has its target and its indicator. So I flattened the data, so goal data will be repeating. This is to make sure that it's easier to convert it into CSV format. Ideally, inside a goals target will be an array, and inside each target there will be a property array. But since we are going to convert it into a CSV format, I flattened the whole data. So at this point, we have parsed this website, and for every goal, target, and property, we have one row. So goal 1 itself will have so many rows in our case, corresponding to each target and property combination. It will have one entry in our array of objects. So basically, props is an array of objects in our case. So the next step is to write it into a CSV file, right? So for that, we have already imported a library called JSON to CSV, and it has a converter object, and that converter object has a JSON to CSV method in it. So how we are going to use that is by So here you can see that we are converting that array into a CSV format. So this will take care of converting it into CSV format, but it won't be a CSV file. It will be still in string. So we need to write it into a CSV in order to see the data in CSV format. So I am going to save this. From the log side, it will not have anything different. It will still log the same thing. But at this point, we should have a CSV file here. So I am going to open this file. So here you can see that our data corresponding to every goal, we have multiple targets, and corresponding to some of the targets, we have multiple indicators. So at this point, we have successfully extracted the data from the website. So this is how we can parse complex data out of HTML pages, like a really big HTML pages, into the format that we need. So in our case, we wanted it as a CSV. That's why we were able to, we flattened the data and did it this way. But say we want to format it in a different format, like a nested JSON object, that also was very well possible. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you guys liked it. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.